Okay, guys, I think we can start the today's session. So, as I mentioned in the last class yesterday, we don't have any session. I think we have done the last session Friday. So we basically discussing about the URDF. Okay, we have we have we have been following the tutorial that is mentioned in the ROS2 documentation, and I think we were doing the same thing that we have discussed in ROS1 class. Like we were been working on an R2D2 robot, and we have seen how to create it in different stages. Okay, like this is a main package, tutorial package that we have used in order to explain how we can create a URDF from scratch. Okay, so I hope that is that is clear to you. So last class we have discussed up to the sacro. I think, yeah, we have discussed up to the sacro, I guess. Let me see. Yeah, so this class I'm planning to discuss more on sacro. I mean, we didn't discuss much about sacro. So we will be seeing things about sacro, and then the launch file, how to visualize the URDF with the help of a launch file. Okay, so that is what we are going to see today. So before that, I'm just checking what are the things inside it. So maybe I can also show you the package, not the package, the folder, which is having the URDF that we have created. So this was the last sacro that we have created. We basically like downloading from the tutorial. It's already here. I think you can also get it like this one, using sacro to clean your code. Okay, and we will be seeing the changes. What are the changes that sacro actually put it in the URDF? Like, what are the advantages? Yesterday we have mentioned like it will be reducing the lines of code, so we can just go through the working of sacro, and then we will be directly jumping to the launch file. Okay, so that is the plan. So today we are not planning to discuss the simulation part. Maybe we can start it as a new session. So I'm planning to discuss about sacro today, and also the launch file, and mostly the VS code. So like while working on the URDF, like currently, like we are working on a text editor, right, in order to write the URDF. So we have the VS code. That's what we even me currently using. It sorry, it is good for visualizing I mean, at the same time. For example, currently what we are doing is we are modifying the sacro file or URDF file, and then we are running the launch file to visualize it in the RVs. But if you want to see the changes in real time, not real time, I mean, like what I'm saying is, like whenever you change the URDF, you can see the changes on the right side of the VS code window. So which is very useful, because you can quickly do the modification. Okay, so first start with the sacro. So if you simply search for the sacro thing, you will get a lot of I mean, yeah, you will get a lot of tutorials, obviously, and this is from the ROS1. we already have discussed that. And also in the ROS2 tutorial, there is an explanation about Sacro. Okay, so Sacro basically, I will say it's a different representation of URDF. Okay, basically, if you want to prototype a robot in ROS, I mean the 3D model, it's in URDF. It should be in URDF. Okay, so you can either write a robot model in URDF, plain URDF, or you can write the model using Sacro, and then later you can convert this Sacro into URDF by a tool. Okay, so that is already there in ROS. Okay, so ROS actually providing a package which is called Sacro, and that Sacro can be used. That package called Sacro is having a node or a tool called Sacro that can be used to convert the .sacro file into URDF. Okay, so basically you don't need to worry about the conversion. The Sacro tool will be doing that. So if you want to prototype it to a model, we can mainly focus on the Sacro instead of writing in plain URDF. So what are the advantages of writing a Sacro? Yesterday I have mentioned, but I will repeat. So Sacro, if you look, you will quickly understand the difference. Basically, it is having a thing called properties, or like you can say it's a constant or variable. Okay, so like if you want to declare a constant or property in Sacro, you can use this tag, and you can mention the name, and you can you can give the value of that. Okay, so what is the use of what is the use of creating this kind of properties? Because you don't need to call this value all the time. Okay, and instead of using 0.6 on URDF, you can use len. Okay, so you can address the value as a variable. Okay, so you can access the Sacro using this kind of thing, like dollar, and with braces you can access the value. So here it is accessing this value here. Okay, so you can access all the Sacro property using the dollar sign. Okay, so this is very useful because you can define all these variables prior to writing your complete Sacro. Okay, and another advantage of having Sacro representation is you can write like mathematical equations. I mean, not complex, but you can write some equations like this. You can see here, right? You can do the multiplication, you can do the division, addition, all this stuff you can do. Okay, so which is very helpful, because if you want to manipulate some values, you can use Sacro. Okay, so that is the next thing. And the third thing is that you can write functions. Okay, you can write functions or macros. Okay, so these macros help to rewrite or like avoid the rewriting of the same same set of code. Meaning you already know what is the use of a function, right? Function means like if you create a function for addition, then you can simply call the function called addition, and it will be doing the job. So you don't need to write the function all the time. Okay, so so like that, I can say an example here. Like if you want to create a wheel, then yeah, you already seen the wheels of the R2D2, right? The R2D2 is having 4 wheels, which is the same wheels, and the orientation, the position, all these things are different. Okay, so so if you create a function or a macro for a single wheel, okay, then you can simply call this macro 4 times in order to create the 4 wheels. Okay, and also there is another thing. If you see the R2D2 robot, 1 second, you can find there is a symmetry in the robot, like the left leg and right leg. Okay, so basically you can create a macro or a function for one section of the robot. Okay, one section means 1 leg and 2 wheels. Okay, so if you write it, then you can simply call 2 macro. Okay, and then 2 legs will be created with the wheels. Inside the leg macro, you can call the wheel macro to create two wheels. So that is how this sacro is designed. I know it's somewhat confusing, but the concept is that reusing of the code. Okay, you don't need to rewrite it. So the same URDF file of this robot was having like 400 lines of code, but this is having around like 235. So you know, like half of the code length is reduced, and you can simply see these things. Like I'm not explaining everything, but you can see how these things are implemented. Okay, so first I can go to the properties. So you can simply see the width is 0.2. Okay, 0.2, and if you search for the width, you can find the width is actually for the cylinder, and this is how we are using that value. So if you represent the width inside the dollar, I mean inside this parenthesis, you can access that value. Okay, okay, so this is how we can access the properties of the sacro. Okay, so the next thing is the equations, the mathematical equation. Like I already shown to you guys, like inside this parenthesis, you can use basic mathematical equations. Okay, and the important part is creating the macro. Macro means function. So you can see here, I can start with a basic example. Okay, so this is an example of a basic macro, and what is the purpose of this macro? This is the tag that we are using to create a macro, and this is the name of the macro, and this is the parameters or arguments that we have to pass. So so we are passing the mass value, and when we call it, this section will be filling when you call that macro. Okay, what are the things inside it? It's inertial tags. Okay, basically this macro is for reusing the inertial tag value. So when you give the mass value, it will be filling here, and there will be an inertia dummy values it's filling. Okay, so you can see how to call this macro. Okay, so just search with the name, and you can see inside the link tag there is three main subtags, right? So there is visual, which is having the visual aspect of the robot, collision, which is having the collision box, and then the inertia tag. Okay, so in order to avoid the inertia tag like writing multiple times, you can simply call a sacro. Okay, so we already defined the sacro here, and this is how we are calling a sacro. Okay, so the name of the sacro, like sacro colon name of the sacro, and the parameters. So if you do this, the this line will be replaced here. So we can save 4 lines of code, okay, in every link. 4 lines means like 4 lines inside that. Okay, and if you simply search, you can find the same thing. Like here you can see the calling of inertial and yeah, you can see it's calling multiple times. Okay, so this is how we are calling sacro, and then now we can go with the bigger sacro. Maybe first we can start with the wheel. Okay, so maybe I can give an idea, like along with describing the links and joints, you can define the sacro like this. Okay, or what I am personally preferring is that there is an option to include another URDF or sacro inside another URDF. I mean inside a URDF, meaning you can add or include a URDF in another URDF. So what I will do is I will keep all these sacro in a separate URDF or sacro file, and then I will be including that, and then I will be simply calling that. I mean, it's like you are when you are doing the C++ coding and Python coding, you will be you will be keeping the header files and CPP files, right? So like that, we can maybe separate all this sacro code, so that the robot main sacro file will be only having the links and joins and the sacro calls. Okay, so here is another example for wheel sacro. Wheel sacro, basically what is a wheel? A wheel is basically a cylinder, right? Cylinder. So we are defining a macro for a wheel, and there is a prefix, suffix, and reflect. Okay, so I can explain it. The prefix is the like there are two sides, left and right, so that is the prefix, so left or right. And suffix is like there is front and back wheels. There are totally 4 wheels, right? So left front, left right, I mean left front, left back, right front, right back. Okay, and the reflect is like a mirror kind of stuff. Like if you put a reflect, then it will be going to, I mean it's just opposite to the other. So basically these two wheels on each sides are like just opposite, right? Just a reflection of other. So you can use this tag to reflect these yeah, so I can show you the difference. I mean how we can use it. Okay, so here you can see the link is defined here, and you can call a macro from another macro. That is possible. So that's why we are calling default inertia here, and then yeah, so you can also access all these arguments. These all are the arguments, prefix, suffix, all are the arguments, and you can simply call using the dollars, and you can able to call it. Okay, and yeah, so that is what it's basically done. Like it's creating the link name using prefix and suffix, and using the and wheel diameter is all we have already given, and using the reflect tag, you can see here the reflect. So the reflect, based on the reflect may be 1 or -1, I think. So based on that, we can change the origin of each joint. So the left, if we are reflecting the left, it will be the right, something like that. Okay, so that is what the reflect tag, and we can see how to call it. So if you simply search the wheel, you can see here, this is how we are calling a macro, which is having the prefix. I can explain, because this macro call is a part of another sacro called leg. So I mentioned that there are two main sacro here, two main macro here, leg and the wheel. So if you call, or if you create one leg, then you can call it 2 times to create left and right leg. And inside the leg, we can call the wheel macro 2 times. Okay, because each leg is having 2 wheels. Okay, so this is how it is doing. Like, so you can see here, if you simply search, you can find the leg macro is calling here. Okay, so leg left and leg right, so these all are the arguments. So you can you can find the reflect tag. Okay, so based on these values, the based on these values, it is creating the leg portion. Leg is having a box. Okay, you can see a box, and also another box at the bottom. Okay, so 2 boxes. Okay, and 2 wheels. So yeah, so this is the basic thing, like in sacro. Yes, so basically I think you got an idea. Like sacro is basically for reducing the number of lines. Okay, and using that, not only it's reducing the number of lines, it is like giving some flexibility in programming. Okay, so that is also we need to understand. Yes, so these are the things that we need to understand about sacro. Okay, yes, so let me know if you have any questions, guys. So I can explain, because I know it's somewhat complicated and confusing. So let me know if you have any questions.
I think so. If we convert something from SolidWorks or something graphical tool, we will get URDF.
Yes.
So what I understand is we have to write manually this Sacra code from the URDF. Is it necessary, or
no? I can explain. So like, if you are working on like SolidWorks or the Fusion 360, some plugins are converting into URDF. Okay, so basically the objective is to get the URDF, but if you are manually creating a robot, okay, if you are manually creating, like in case of like, if you want to create a robot without any plugins, so you are simply exporting the links and you can use that in the geometry. So if you're completely customizing or like completely building it from the scratch, then the Sacro representation will be good. Okay, Sacro representation. But if you're converting using a plugin, some plugins will be directly giving the URDF. So we don't need to, worry about it. Like if the converted URDF is good for you, then you don't need to touch it. Okay, but make sure, like if you are going to customize it, then it will be a pain because there is no programmability or there is no flexibility in the converted URDF. Mostly if you get the URDF, you may need to customize it because if you have to do the simulation, you have to add the gazebo plugins. Some plugins like Fusion 360, they will be adding the simulation plugins as well. Okay, simulation basic plugin. So if you want to customize it, it will be better. I mean, make sure you have time. Like the converted URDF, you can modify to Sacro, because if you are working on it, if you want to add some things after the conversion, I think Sacro will be better. So it's basically after converting from SolidWorks or URDF, in order to do some kind of customization, it will be better if you can modularize it, but it will take time actually. But if you are lazy enough, then you can go with the existing URDF and then add the stuff. But when you try to add some new stuff, then it will be it will be somewhat difficult. Okay, so what I am doing is, after conversion, I will be trying to convert into Sacro. I think Fusion 360 is converting into Sacro. I forgot it. But if it is converting to Sacro, that is fine. Otherwise, if it is plain URDF and if you want to do modification, then it will be a problem. Yeah. Hari, let me know if you have a question, Hari. Like it's actually I mean, like if you are converting to directly to the URDF, you have to customize it somehow, like adding some plugins or something. So at that time, if it is not a Sacro file, it will be difficult. So maybe you can try first with the plain URDF and add the simulation stuff, all the stuff, and then work on it. If it is good for you, that is fine. But if you think like it is taking time to customize, then better will be changing into Sacro. Like modularize it, so it will be helpful, I guess. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. So that is about the Sacro, and then we can use the same command to visualize it. I mean the launch file that I'm talking about. Just a second. Okay. Okay. So let me visualize it first, and then we can see. Okay, so we have the 0h macro. Okay, so this is the command that we have used. And we have to go to the workspace. Yeah. Yes. Zero 08. Right. Okay. So you can see the same robot, and there is nothing changed, and currently it is movable. You can see here we actually assigned all the joints, correct joints, and yeah, so this is a final out. And now what we are going to see is, maybe first we can see the RQT graph. Okay, so that will be good, like you will get an idea what are the nodes running. So just take RQT and you can see here. So this is what happening when we try to run a URDF or visualize a URDF. Basically, when you pass the URDF using this is actually a parameter. The URDF is actually publishing as a topic called robot description. So maybe I can show you that. If you simply check ROS topic list, you can see in ROS1 the URDF actually pass into a ROS parameter. Okay, and that parameter name was robot description. But in ROS2 you can see the same thing in the form of topics. So that is actually a difference. So when you pass, it will be publishing. So you can see here, this is the published URDF. I mean, it's not printing, it's not showing all the things, but the value will be there. The parsed URDF tags will be there in the robot description. So that will be subscribing by joint state publisher. So I mentioned that there are two types of joint state publisher. Two types mean two modes. One is the GUI, so that we can give the values through a slider. And so when you do this, when you move the slider and all, it will be producing a joint state. Maybe I can show you that. ROS topic echo joint state, and when I am changing it using the geo, you can see here the on the left side you can see the different joints, and if I'm changing the slider, you can see the values changing. Okay, and it is having the list of joints and the values. Okay, and if you change any value, that will be reflecting in the topic. Okay, so this is the joint state topic. Just a second. Yeah, so what I was saying was that, like, whenever we change the slider, the joint state topic will be publishing, and then that publishing value, the topic will be subscribing by a robot state publisher. Okay, so that node is converting the joint state into TF. Okay, TF, the transform, and which is actually subscribing by the RVs, and you can visualize it. Okay, so if you just check, yeah, so this is how it is looks like. Okay, the TF, and yeah, so that is what running behind when you run a launch file to visualize a URDF. Okay, and now we can see what are the things inside this launch file. Okay, maybe you can directly take the launch file and explain. So this is a typical launch file. Fine. Just a second. Or maybe I can take it from the system itself using callcon cd. I'm just changing into URDF tutorial package. Tutorial. Excuse me. Yeah. So 1 second. So I'm just switching to the URDF tutorial package, and now I can go to the folder and you can find the display.launch. So this is the launch file that we are launching when in order to visualize the URDF. Okay, so you can see several lines of code, but it's not a complex things. Like, you can just understand we have to start the joint state publisher, then robot state publisher, all this stuff. So this is actually doing that. Okay. Yes. So maybe I can start explaining. 1 second. Okay. Display.launch. Fine. Yeah. So in the ROS2 launch file, I mentioned that it's a Python file, right? It's a Python file. So we will be saving the file as, like, you can either save as display.py, or in order to understand it's a launch file, you can save it like display.launch.py. okay, so so people will get an idea like it's a launch file and it is in the Python format. So basically what we have to do is we have to write a function called generate launch description. Okay, we have to define that, and we have to return what are the things that we have to include in this launch file. So basically the launch file is the description of this function basically. So you can first see, first we are creating an object of a class called launch description, which is actually a default module or a class which is present in the launch module. Okay, so this launch module is a main ROS2 module which is having many modules, submodules for working with the launch files. Okay, so one of the submodule is launch description. So inside this launch description basically for like simply adding all the launch things like the nodes, parameters, all these things. You can simply push all these things into this description, and you have to return a launch description after pushing all these things. Okay, so you can see here these all are some modules or some functions which is already there in the launch module, okay, in ROS2. So there are two things like launch and launch_ROS. These are some packages already available in ROS2 in order to make the launch file easier. Okay, so we have a module called find package share. So that will be returning the URDF tutorial path package. Okay, it will be returning the package path of the URDF tutorial. And what this does is that it will be along with the package path, URDF/01 my first will be added. So the purpose of this is, if we are not providing any, maybe I can show you. I'm not providing any model, okay, by default. So it will be loading the first yeah, I think it will be loading the first the first sacro or the URDF file. So that's why this is actually using by default. So like when you start this launch file, by default this will be loading, something like that. So let me try it again. When I tried, it was not working, but let me do it again. What is happening? It's showing path substitution. Maybe okay. I got it. Yeah. So yeah. So if I am putting here, just a second. Oh, I think it's stuck. Okay. So let me take the command again. Yeah, URDF-01. Yeah. Okay. There is another thing. There is another ROS running here, so it will be making a problem. Let me close this. Okay. And what about not providing anything? Okay, that is making some issue. Okay. Okay, I think I got it, but it's not very clear. Maybe I can explain. So they're actually putting some default value, like if you are not providing any model, it is assumed to be the first URDF will be just loading. So that is the use of this path. This is just a variable. Okay, this is just a variable, and let me see it is using or not. Yeah, it is using. Okay, I can come into that, and this is for the default URDF that we are going to visualize, and this path join substitution is for the ROS config. Okay, like by default, which URDF I mean ROS configuration. I hope you remember about the ROS configuration. If you just launch ROS, you can save this configuration. Okay, so that configuration means how you are defining your ROS, like what are the displays, what are the views, all these things. Okay, so by default this launch file launch urdf.rbs, which is already there in the package. Okay, and these are basically for handling the joint state publisher basically. So the joint state publisher, there are two modes. One is with the GUI and without the GUI. So if you mention the GUI tag, maybe I can show you that. Yeah, so if you just mention GUI equal to false, second, yeah, so if you mention the GUI equal to false, then the joint state publisher GUI is gone. Okay, so this value, if you set as true, then you can find the joint state publisher. Okay, by default it is true. So if you are not mentioning anything, it is true. Okay, so that is what this line is about. So it is actually declaring a launch argument. So how many launch arguments that we have? Launch arguments means what are the arguments that we are giving along with the launch file. So we have the model, which is a launch argument. Then we have the GUI, which is a launch argument. And we have the ROS config as well, which is also a launch argument. So this is how we are declaring a launch argument. So in order to declare a launch argument, we have to give the name of the argument. Like currently the name of the argument is GUI, and we have to define a default value, then the choices, what are the choices, and also a description. Okay, and after creating the argument, what we are doing is we are adding that arguments into the launch description object. Okay, so ld.action, add action. Okay, and this is for the ROS config argument, and which is added, and also for the model that is also added. Okay, yeah, that is also added. And yeah, so that is what actually happening. So there is another thing. So you can find here, this is where like you can see the model is added, right? There is another thing is added, which is like including another launch file. Okay, so what happening is that after getting all these things, it is basically launching another launch file called URDF like display.launch.py from URDF launch. Okay, we are working with the URDF tutorial, but there is another thing called URDF launch. So let me show you that. URDF, yeah, display.launch. Okay, so basically what we are doing is we are collecting all the information for launching a launch file, I mean for the URDF, and then we are basically parsing all this value into this display.launch.py. Okay, so which is inside the URDF.launch, and like this is how we are just passing the model value, then ROS config, and then the joint state publisher value, whether it's GUI or not. Okay, so you may have confusion. So what is inside this display.launch, right? Maybe we can check it. URDF launch, it's called con, and if you just go to the launch folder, you can find display.launch.py, and this is the launch file for basically for starting joint state publisher, then robot state publisher, and also the ROS. Okay, so like in the tutorial package, they have did basically like they can directly use this, but they have used another launch file and included or parsed all these values into this launch file. Okay, so there are two launch file, and this is the main launch file which is launching the joint state publisher, then the robot state publisher, and the RVs. Okay, so yeah, so maybe we can continue with this maybe in the next session, next class. So like after completing this, maybe we can go to the simulation. So the launch file, everything they have mentioned in the last last section of this tutorial, but we will be seeing the launch file again. It will take some time, and there is a custom state publisher, so we can try that as well, like in order to create a fake joint state, and then the robot state publisher will be publishing the TF, all these things. So there is another example they have mentioned. We can see that maybe in the next class. So just check that, like we have the display.launch.py and display.launch.py. I mean, both are same. I mean, the names are same, and but inside each launch file, the commands are different. Okay. Yes. So we didn't complete the launch file explanation. We will be continuing that maybe next class. Okay. So if you have any question, let me know. After that, like we can conclude it. Okay. So basically the launch files that the ROS provides to us, it's like modularized launch file. For example, one launch file is for like tutorial, one launch file will be the main, and there is another launch file for description. Maybe you can see here. One second. Description. So in this description, you can find it is starting the robot state publisher, then it is doing the parsing. Okay, so basically we have seen this much of launch file. Like it was like it started from here, which is the main launch file, and we have seen it called this launch file, which is this. And when we check this launch file, we have seen it is calling another launch file called description.launch, which is actually doing the parsing of the URDF and publishing of robot state. And inside the second launch file, it is starting the basic joint state publisher and all. But in the tutorial, you can simply see a simple launch file which is having all this stuff. Okay, so you will have a question why we need this much of launch file. It's basically for modularity. Okay, if you want some kind of modularity, like in this launch file, if you check, it's very simple, and it only have like parsing of the URDF. Okay, and in this launch file, it is like using the description.launch and only the joint state. So all these things, maybe we can also define all these things in a single URDF. Maybe we can describe in the next class. You can simply see like the same thing that we have mentioned in the single one. Okay, we are like parsing the URDF and then starting robot state publisher, all these things. Okay, so next class maybe we can continue and we can start with the simulation. Okay, so Hari, do you have any questions or something? I mean, we couldn't.
No questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
We couldn't finish.
But please upload the. Please upload the videos
Yeah. So it's actually there. So there is a thing. So there is a confusion actually. Maybe I can. Okay. Uh, yeah. So if you take the repository, I actually updated the nodes till yesterday, I think. But you can't see that at the end of it, because like the session starting from day 100, it's actually in the first list. Like after 10 it's is day 100, then day 101. Maybe I can show you that. 1 second.
Oh, yes, I see that. Oh, sorry.
So I will be mentioning, I will mention that. So I also had this confusion because I actually pushed everything and I can't able to see the videos at the end. So maybe I will be putting a screenshot so that everyone can see. Okay. Okay, Harry, thanks for attending. So next session I will be announcing next week or day after that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.